Achtung Millwall supports the Lions Food Hub, and all of our advertising revenues will be donated to support this fantastic initiative. It's now based at the Lions Centre on Bolina Road, and it's run by our own Kelly Webster. This is a friendly food bank supporting families in the Bermondsey and SE16 area. If you can help support the Lions Food Hub in any way, please visit at Lions Food Hub on Twitter or get in touch with us at Achtung Millwall. The Lions Food Hub. Come on, you Lions.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Hart, and I thought, for a change, I'd try and revive the idea of doing on this day in Millwall history, possibly wider history, but Millwall history certainly. I haven't done many of these for a little while, many reasons I suppose, stuff and nonsense generally, but I thought it'd be nice to revive the idea again. It's Friday the 24th of September. The original idea I had was to try and turn these out on this day, on the 24th. It's not always possible. Sometimes there aren't that many events on this day in the randomly generated year. The way we do it, I really do use a random number generator to find a year and then see what happened on this day, or as close to it as I can get. But anyway, today's randomly chosen year, thanks to the random number generator, is 1967 in Mill history, and we find a people, Sunday People, dated the 24th of September 1967. We have a report of a 1-1 draw, Millwall 1, Bristol City 1, and the headline for the piece by Peter Smith of the Sunday People is, "It is so easy to pinch a point at the Den." Managerless Bristol City snatched their first away point of the season in 4 attempts, dear listeners. But it was not a noteworthy achievement. Taking a point from Millwall on this dismal form would have been simple for any visiting side from Division 2 downwards. So, not exactly a fan, Peter. Centre-halves Kitchener and Connor had little to do in the way of cutting off threats, although Millwall were robbed of 2 goals by City goalkeeper Mike Gibson. Millwall were a dreary side, he says, apart from Armstrong's speed, occasional flashes from Posse and Weller's worrying. It was left to Eamon Dunphy to provide Mill's craft in midfield. It got him nowhere until he decided to go it alone, says Peter Smith. So we have, it's a 1-1 draw. Dunphy snatched Mill's equaliser after a bad clearance from Jacobs. He could have had another one, it says, if a shot after dribbling around 3 men. Instead he passed to Hunt and Mill's chance was lost, so overcooking it there by Eamon. The report continues that Mill desperately need to splash money on a strong leader, although their need is not quite as urgent as Bristol City's. Apart from Quigley's scheming and urging in his new role as skipper, City had little to give in the way of hope from getting away from the bottom of the table. The Mill team, Laurie Leslie in goal, John Gilchrist. Leslie's given a 7 out of 10. Gilchrist gets 7. Kitchener gets 5, is that? Yeah, 5. Wilson gets 6. Dennis Burnett, 6. Jones, 5. Star man, Eamon Dunphy, who was injured, is 8. Posse gets 5. Hunt gets 5. Keith Weller, playing in this game, gets 7. Armstrong gets 6. The substitute was Welsh. I don't know if that's Alan Welsh. 6 out of 10 he gets. Now, Eamon Dunphy did indeed leave the pitch injured, and there's a rather hard to determine because the copying has made this newspaper photo very dark. But there's a picture of Eamon Dunphy of Mill being led off by the referee, his face covered in blood after a collision with Bristol City fullback Trevor Jacobs. So Dunphy, goal scorer, had to leave the pitch. Alternate report from the Sunday Mirror, 24th of September 67. Mill so mixed up. It's not difficult to see why Mill have yet to win at home this season, says Harold Mays of the Sunday Mirror. Early chances, they went behind to a 22nd minute snap goal by Chris Crowe. equalised through Eamon Dunphy 7 minutes later. So all in all, a fairly average performance by the Lions on the 23rd of September 1967. Other results in the division: Palace winning at Aston Villa. I see there. Top of the table is QPR, who beat Charlton at home on this particular day. Blackburn in second spot there with a 2-1 win at home over Bolton. Bottom of the table, Hull City, who went down. Hull City went down 2-0 at home. They'd been at Boothbury Park to Middlesbrough. The crowd at the Den and in the 1-1 draw for the game that we're concerned about, 12,121. That draw left Millwall mid-table. Home form, nothing new here. You want draws, Gary Rowett fans out there. You got draws so far this season. Millwall's home form, having played 9. Won none at home. The Bastion, the fortress that was Coldblow Lane. We've won none at home, drawn 4, and lost once at home. Away form, bit better away from home. How about that? We've won 2, drawn 1, lost 1 away from home. 9 points so far for the season as of the 24th of September 1967. Elsewhere, I've just got there's a great page from this is the Sunday People. I'm just looking at their results pages. Wonderful things to look at. I love it when you get these old scans of papers showing all the other results in the Football League as it once was. Top of the table in Division 1, Liverpool, who beat Everton in the Merseyside derby thanks to a Roger Hunt goal. Bottom of the First Division, Leicester City, who got beat 3-2 at Leeds. Goals by Greenhoff and Peter Lorimer, 16 minutes and 60 minutes. Penalty offset there by Gibson and Nish. I always remember him, David Nish. I don't know why that name used to stick in my head, but I remember David Nish. Bottom of the Football League in Division 4, as it once was, Port Vale, bottom of the 4th Division. Top of the table there, Aldershot, having a good season so far. Aldershot. So there we are. That's the 1967 24th of September report. The Lions would actually continue on to have a decent season, 67-68. We would finish in 7th position in the table. But home form was not that brilliant, interestingly. The end of season table, we were 7th. We'd end up winning 9 times, just 9 times at Coldblow Lane. 10 draws out there for all you draw fans. Lost 2 at home. Away from home, we were not too bad, actually. 5 wins away from home, 7 draws and 9 losses. Benny Fenton was the manager at this point. He did have a reputation, as I think we've said on previous shows. The one I did with Neil quite recently featured a report with Benny Fenton extolling the virtues of defensive football. And the cost of that, obviously, at home was we didn't win that many. But we did finish in a reasonable position. Only the top 2 would be promoted from Division 2 in those times. Ipswich topped the table and would be promoted as champions. QPR came in second and would go on to preserve their place in Division 1 through the 70s. They would become... Were they a glamour side? They were a bit of a glamour side. They did very well in the mid-70s with Jerry Francis. I think they went close to winning the league one season in the mid-70s. So there we are. Those are the margins upon which football turns. Unlucky on Blackpool. Look at that. They were kept out of second spot by QPR on goal average. It would have been in those times. That was a different thing to goal difference. I think that was divided the goals scored into the goals conceded, produced a figure which was called goal average. So they were kept out of second spot on goal average. Now, one name intrigued me in there, which was obviously Eamon Dunphy. The picture of him being led off the pitch, you can just about make out his head streaming with blood. Very interesting character, Eamon Dunphy, and I don't think we've really covered him at all. I think I might have mentioned him, but I don't think I've covered him in any great depth on Achtung Millwall. So I thought this might be the chance just to take a quick look at Eamon Dunphy's Wikipedia page with you, dear listeners. I don't know if you ever do things like this. I love Wikipedia. It's my kind of dream. So here we're looking at Eamon Dunphy. I remember seeing him. Eamon was still at the Den when I started going. I started going in 72. So he left us in. He went to Charlton in 74 after a fairly long career with Millwall. 1965 to 74. So 9 years with the Lions. 274 appearances. I'm going to check that because sometimes Wikipedia's numbers are a little bit wayward when it comes. So the site to check, listeners, is always millwallhistory.org.uk. That's the one to check. So I'm going to just check Eamon Dunphy's career here with the Lions. 294 total appearances for the Lions. 8 as substitute. 1965 to 74 he would leave us. Actually December 73 would leave us for Charlton for 20,000. Actually wasn't a bad deal. He signed from York City in January 66 for £8,000 and we would sell him to Charlton in December 73 for 20, so we made £12,000 profit there. 294 appearances, 8 as substitute, 25 goals. He was a very creative player, and as his later career after Millwall and football would show, he was a man of opinion, and I like men of opinion as long as they can back it up with some form of reasoned argument, and Eamon is such a person, and they will infuriate and exhilarate in equal measure. And I think Eamon Dunphy was that kind of man, is that kind of man, was that kind of football player. And Millwall is also a place full of opinionated people, and they're not quick to express their opinions. And Eamon also was never slow in expressing his. So it was in some ways it was a match made in heaven and in hell in equal measure. But yeah, Republic of Ireland international. It remains our most capped player, I believe, alongside David Ford. It says here. I haven't checked that at all. He played 23 times for the Republic of Ireland, for his country, as did David Ford. His debut was made for the Republic in the Parc des Princes in Paris in 1965 in a playoff to qualify for the 1966 World Cup. That was against Spain, which Spain won 1-0 thanks to a Jose Ufarte goal. Dunphy described himself in his own words as a good player but not a great player, which is an interesting, and I think that's probably the thing that I would take away listening to. He would go on to become a journalist and TV personality in Irish, the Irish media, and to some extent, I suppose, in Irish politics, which is not an area I'm going to get into, dear listeners. You'll be thankful to hear that. I think any attempt by me to speak on Irish matters is like sinking into a quicksand, and I don't really, I have no depth of understanding of many of the issues out there. But he would go on after his football career. He would began at Manchester United as a youth. He joined York City 22 times. He played for York, scoring 3 goals. Joining the Lions in 1965, leaving us for Charlton at the end of December 73. 42 times he played for Charlton, 3 goals. Reading, 75, 77, 77 appearances, 3 goals, and then he would return to Ireland to finish his career with Shamrock Rovers. 33 appearances there and 2 goals. He had an idea to go back to Shamrock, which is an interesting idea, to try to retain Irish talent and develop them into a force in Irish and European terms. He would actually win his only medal of his career, which was the FAI Winners' Cup in 1978 with Shamrock Rovers. And he would make 2 appearances in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, a tournament that no longer exists. As he put it here, Dunphy became disillusioned with the Irish game and dropped out of football then to concentrate on his journalism that I've already already mentioned. A columnist with Irish papers, the Sunday Tribune, Sunday Independent, Irish Daily Star. He's written books. A classic in the football genre was his diary, I suppose you'd call it, Only a Game, a diary of a professional footballer, which was actually written in the mid-70s. And I remember buying it from that odd club shop that used to be in a Methodist chapel up on New Cross Road, long way away from the ground. It was actually nearer to New Cross Station. I remember when Dunphy brought out that book, making a special effort to travel up on it was a Saturday, I think. It wasn't a game match day, and I remember going up there especially to go and buy it. Might have been in the close season even, and it was a really odd shopping experience in it. It was a chapel converted into the Millwall Club shop, but they had a copy of it, and I remember reading it. This has been about when I was about 14 years old. It's become rated as a classic of its type, and I remember reading it at that age, 14, maybe I was about 14, 15 possibly. And I remember reading it, and it was written in a searingly honest style, downbeat. It depicted names and players that I used to watch as a kid, and I suppose as a child you elevate players to be heroes, in the kind of cartoon sense. And Eamon Dunphy's book depicted them as human beings, which I was probably too young to really absorb. I did reread the book later on in life. I don't have it now. I don't know. It's gone somewhere. A couple of wives ago, I think. And it's a great book, but it's a downbeat depiction of the reality of the job of being a professional footballer, which is something as a kid you don't appreciate, and as an adult you probably can absorb more. So it's worth a read. He would also become an author in his own right. I remember him writing the Unforgettable Fire, which was an account of the biography of the band U2, published in the late 80s, and also a biography of Manchester United manager Matt Busby, the great Matt Busby. He's also ghostwritten on behalf of Roy Keane, his own autobiography. Is it an autobiography if someone's ghostwritten? It's probably not really. Highly controversial figure in Irish sporting and political circles. Too much to go into here. Many of the, I think Eamon's given to controversial opinion. Let's put it that way. He is a podcaster in his own right. His podcast Matches the Man, and I don't listen to it regularly. I've listened to one or two. They're always interesting. A lot of it obviously relates to Irish politics, so there will be limits on how far you want to listen to that. But it also relates to sport and to issues of a wider interest to the English listener. Anyway, Eamon is an intriguing character, controversial character, a very Millwall character. He does not care if you like his opinion or if you agree with him. If you disagree with him, he'll probably want to be interested in why you disagree with him and your reasoning. But he's nobody's fool, and I find him an intriguing character. The name of his podcast is The Stand. He's done over 1,200 editions. I'm just looking out on Apple Podcasts as I'm speaking to you now, listeners. The Stand with Eamon Dunphy. Subject matters on the most recent ones, episode 1213, the Taiwan issue. Can they survive Chinese belligerence in the South China Seas? France after the recent security deal, or whatever you want to call it, between Australia, US and United Kingdom. The Ryder Cup is mentioned. Politics, Premier League review, an appreciation of Jimmy Greaves. The reviews are wonderful, and this probably sums up Eamon Dunphy in a nutshell, these reviews of his podcast, because they veer between 5 stars. One bloke here loves his Irish accent. I'm not sure he'd want to be loved purely for an accent, but more for his stature. But anyway, he loves it. 5 stars he gives it. And then a podcast, Lost in Time, 1 star, says a bloke called Creeping Death. He gives airtime to rats like Billy Hutchinson, Brendan O'Neill. I don't know those. It's embarrassing. This bloke says it's 5 stars. He looks forward to his podcast every week. A listener from County Down in the north of Ireland. 2 stars, depending on the guest. One-eyed podcast. Oh, it goes on. People love him or hate him. And I suppose Eamon Dunphy would probably not want it any other way. So an intriguing character, certainly for this particular game that we're looking at today. 24th, the game had been played on the 23rd of September 1967. It's Millwall 1, Bristol City 1. The goal scored by the aforesaid Eamon Dunphy, who would leave the field, his head streaming with blood, thanks to a clash with a Bristol City player. I don't know if I've done justice to Eamon Dunphy. I mean, I'm doing this pretty much on the hoof. We're going to try and do more of these because it's a nice thing to try and get a podcast out relating to these days in the past. We'll see how we continue. I hope you've enjoyed On This Day with Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Hart. Thank you for listening. I'm going to try and edit this and get it out, knock it out, as they say right now. Do let me know if you want to hear any more like this. They're done fast and furious, and maybe sometimes the crack show through, I don't know. But anyway, thank you for listening. We'll try and do some more next week. Until then, Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Achtung Millwall. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a cheeky little review. Arrivederci Millwall. Till next time.
Who do you want to watch?